Next, a peace summit aimed at uniting global opinion on how to end Moscow's invasion in Ukraine has wrapped up in Switzerland. The first of its kind, the two-day conference in Bürgenstock brought together leaders and delegations from more than 90 countries, including US Vice President Kamala Harris. It was not attended by Russia or China, though, which was seen as limiting the talk's potential impact. Well, Zelensky nevertheless said history was made and expressed hopes for a peaceful solution going forward. Take a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day when the world begins to bring a just peace closer. I thank everyone who has worked for this day, every leader, all the teams and advisors, all the states. 101 states and international organizations are now at the summit, and this is a tremendous success, our success, the common success of all those who believe that a united world, United Nations are stronger than any aggressor.
Well, for more on that, we can bring in Alexandra Filippenko. She's a political analyst and joins us now from Vilnius. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. First of all, what can we say are the main takeaways of this unprecedented summit?
First of all, thank you for having me. And I think in the communique, we saw what are the key issues and the key points of this unique and first peace summit. And it's very important to stress that it is only the first of many peace summits that most probably will happen under the auspices of Ukraine or any other country that can host it, of course. So first of all, one of the key issues is nuclear power. Nuclear power plants, including Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, must operate safely and reliably under full sovereign control of Ukraine. This is the first key point. The second one is global food security. And the communique says that this uninterrupted food chain supply and free and safe commercial shipping is the most important thing that all allies must agree on. And the third, that all prisoners of war should be released and all deported and illegally displaced Ukrainian children, as well as all other Ukrainian civilians must be returned. So these were three main key issues that were discussed and were decided on. And of course, there were 7 more issues that President Zelensky voiced before the peace summit, but they were not in the final communique. And the chief of Zelensky's office, Andrei Yermak, said that Ukraine doesn't rule out speaking with Russia on future summits. So, of course, this was not written in the communique, but I think this is one of the most important takeaways that we must realize is one of the reasons probably the summit has happened. This is one of the main key points that we should see, and it's very important that there might be talks on future peace summits.
And just to continue a bit with that joint communique then that was just released moments ago, we're hearing that it, quote, reaffirms commitment to Ukraine's territorial integrity. What does that entail, do you think, and what could that mean concretely for Ukraine going forward?
To be fair, it should be said that many of the speakers at the summit and this final communique spoke about the territorial integrity of Ukraine. And they spoke about, again, the need for Russian participation in future summits to this territorial integrity to be secured. But we didn't see real borders, what this really means. In principle, all speakers decide that, yes, of course, we need to go back to 1991 borders. This is the most important issue for Ukraine right now and for the office of the president. But we do not see any particular maps, let's say, in this communique. So, of course, these were the very important words that's been said, and most of the participants of the meeting, they spoke against Russian aggression, of course, and they said approximately the same thing, that it's necessary to continue supporting Ukraine, that Putin is an aggressor and should be forced to leave Ukraine. But there are no limits as of time, and there are no exact maps. So territorial integrity most probably means going back to 1991 borders. But again, to be honest, it seems like beautiful and nice words, but nothing in particular and nothing that, for example, countries must do to safeguard this territorial integrity exactly right now.
And Russia was, of course, not invited to the talks, which some participants have condemned, and China, of course, as well stayed away for this very reason. How much impact do you think the summit has had on first uniting global opinion, but also putting pressure on Moscow?
For uniting global opinion, of course, it was very important. And yes, many of the speakers spoke about need for Russia's participation. In particular, Chancellor Scholz spoke about it. The European Council President Charles Michel spoke about it. The Saudi Foreign Minister, Prince Faisal bin Fakhr Al Saud, also spoke about it. So a lot of leaders talked about need for Russian participation. And just before the summit, we should remember that Vladimir Putin spoke out, and he presented his view of peace and his view of what peace should be. So he presented those unrealistic, let's say, things that he wants from Ukraine. But we realize that only with talking with Russia, something can be resolved. And Andrei Yermak spoke about it. And although Vladimir Zelensky didn't speak about possible negotiations with President Putin, but the office of the president of Ukraine signaled that in the future this can happen. Of course, it's very important to mention that China wasn't present at the summit, but again, Andrei Yermak said in his interview yesterday that any other country can sign this communique, this final communique, any other country that did not participate in the summit, but that agrees with those key points. So we might expect, maybe not Russia, but at least Russia's close ally China to sign under this communique, and probably this would be the sign that there will be talks in the nearest future. Of course, the signal that President Putin gave a few days before the summit also means that he wants some kind of negotiation.
Okay, that's all we have time for, unfortunately, but thank you so much for that recap and for your analysis